So hello everyone, nakap. Greetings to everyone from those joining us from Thailand, Australia, China, and Japan. Good morning. To those tuning in from the US and Canada, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our virtual Career Fair 2024 nakap, a collaborative effort by ATSA and JobTopGun and our TSA partners around the world. My name is Well, and I'm serving as the president of ATSA for this year. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ATSA and our organization, ATSA is a nexus for Thai students in the United States, and our work extends beyond just mere networking. And we strive to foster a sense of community and connecting Thai people around the US. And our initiatives include professional events such as this career fair, alumni gatherings, and social mixers, all designed to enrich the experience of our community. And with this year's career fair, we're committed to this goal now more than ever. This year, we've added to the conventional Zoom webinar and stepped into the future with a 3D web platform. And this isn't just a change in technology, it's a transformation in how we connect and engage with each other. With our new website, you can now browse company booths, engage in real-time conversations with HR representatives in Thailand. You can view job listings, open to international students, and read company reviews. It's a dynamic and interactive experience that brings opportunities to life, and we really hope you'll enjoy it. Now, all these changes would not have been possible without our partner for this year's career fair, which is JobTopGun. JobTopGun is a leading job website in Thailand, and they're also committed to connecting the next generation of Thai students with top companies in Thailand. And we're extremely lucky to have partnered with them for this year's fair. Now, joining me today is Varys, Executive Vice President of JobTopGun, whose contributions have been really instrumental to bringing this event to fruition. Varys, could you please introduce yourself and JobTopGun briefly?
Thanks, Rolf. Hello, students and graduates attending the virtual career fair today. I'm Varys, and I'm here on behalf of the team at JobTopGun. So I think this fair is one of the first of its kind, in that it's connecting Thai students from many countries around the globe. So part of the reason why we are doing this fair is to help connect Thai students studying abroad, such as in America or in other countries involved today, with more diverse opportunities in Thailand, to bring incredible Thai talents like you back to help contribute towards Thailand's growth. I think there are more job opportunities out there from diverse companies for students like you to explore, not just from the same usual choices. So last year, ATSA and Well got in touch with us to collaborate on this edition of the fair. Together, we thought of something bigger. We thought of a bigger dream, and now that dream is a reality. We asked ourselves why only have a limited number of companies. We asked ourselves why only have a limited number of jobs from students to choose from. Why limit this career fair to only students in America? Why not be inclusive to Thai students studying in other parts of the world? With that vision, we started teaming up with various TSA, Thai student associations around the globe, and connected with many companies through the JobTopGun network. And today we are proud to connect Thai students from 8 different countries, offering them numerous opportunities to interact with recruiters. So this is my message to all the attendees, all the students, and all the graduates attending the fair today. Keep an open mind, explore many companies, listen to many different live sessions, and I hope all of you are able to find your next inspiration here. This virtual platform will be open for your use for the next 2 weeks, so you can still apply and learn more about these companies later. However, during these 2 special days, you can apply, you can still talk to recruiters in the booth as well have shown you, interact with them, chat with them real time, attend a one-on-one session, or attend various different company live sessions. If you want more information on the fair, you can download the booklet, which I'm sure Vel will show you later. And to end this, I encourage all of you to utilize all the functions and interactions available. Lastly, enjoy. Thank you, Vel.
Thank you, Varys. So in addition to our partnership with JobTopGun this year, as Varys has said, we've also expanded our reach by partnering with 10 TSAs around the globe. Namely, these are TSAs in China, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Macau, Australia, and Canada. And of course, with this growth in participation, we're also proud to announce a significant expansion in company sponsors and companies participating in the fair, doubling from more than 11 companies in the past to now 24 companies today. Now, these companies span across 5 different industries, providing you with an unparalleled and comprehensive opportunity to engage and connect with leading organizations across various fields. Whether you're interested in technology, finance, consumer goods, or more, our lineup of companies ensures a wealth of possibilities for every career path. Now, as Vera said, I really hope everyone will take advantage of this and make the most out of it over the next 2 days. This year's career fair marks a really exciting change for us, and we really hope you will enjoy it. Now, having said that, this year's career fair is using a new web platform. So I'd like to take a moment to just go through the website and make sure that everyone is familiar with the platform and doesn't have any difficulties navigating it later. So if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen, and then I will share the web platform. So this is our virtual career fair website. I'm sure you're familiar with it if you've already gone ahead and registered. So make sure you've logged in and you'll be able to enter our web platform. Additionally, on the homepage, you'll also be able to, if you're logged in, you'll be able to edit your profile and fill in anything you haven't filled yet. You'll also be able to register for one-on-one sessions here. We still have sessions open, so make sure to go check those out before they fill up. We have our live company session schedules, and we have at the bottom our partner TSAs right here. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the platform so everyone will be able to see. So this is the landing page for the 3D exhibition hall. So first, when you land, you'll see that there's a navigation bar on the bottom. So I'm just going to go from left to right. So this is the main entrance. This is the main landing page. So wherever you are on the website, if you're lost or you're not quite sure where you are, you'll be able to click this button and it'll bring you right back to this page to calibrate. Next is the exhibition hall. You can also click right here in the middle of the screen. And this is where we are hosting the virtual booths for all of our companies today. Today, we have 2 virtual halls. So now if you click in, you'll be able to see all the companies in hall 1 and companies in hall 2 right up here. Additionally, you'll also be able to see and skim through which companies are offering full-time positions or whether they're looking for internship positions right on top. So if I go back to hall 1 and say I'm interested in working at Top Gun and I want to visit their booth. So here you can view their booth, and inside the booth, there's a couple things to do. So you'll be able to sign up for your one-on-one sessions here with Top Gun. You'll also be able to chat with HR representatives in Thailand. So if you go ahead and click that, wait for the chat to load, you'll be able to chat with them in real time. Please do note that HR representatives are obviously currently working in Thailand. So we have a lot of attendees joining us from around the world today. So please do check your time zone difference with the time in Thailand and make sure that it's an appropriate time and that they're online. Here in the booth, you'll also be able to read up on the company and view other materials that the company has uploaded for you to see. Most importantly, however, you'll also be able to actually apply to jobs straight from this portal. Do note that in order to apply to jobs straight from this portal, you'll have to complete your super resume registration, which you can find right here in your profile. I'll visit that later. So here you'll be able to see everything. You're able to filter by the job field, the job type, and the degree. And everything will be integrated in here. Now we go back to the main entrance. The next section is the video room. So here you'll also be able to see videos that companies have submitted, and you'll be able to find every company here on the side. Go back. And here is the live event section. So if you click into the live event section, so right now we can see that our opening ceremony is taking place. You'll also be able to see the schedule for the rest of the day. So upcoming, we actually have our fireside chat with Kun Pita, and we have 3 company live sessions for today. So I just want to note that all these webinars will be using the same Zoom link. So you'll actually be able to just stay in this Zoom right after the opening ceremony, and you'll be able to just sit tight, and all the live sessions will run through in one long Zoom webinar meeting. So you'll be able to just save that link and come back to it later. Now, in the information section, if you're still not quite sure with how something works, feel free to come in here. We have written instructions on how to navigate the website right in here and steps to apply for jobs. Also, if you have any problems with the website, I'm sure you've seen right here in the bottom right, we have a chat with career fair assistants. So this is a chat that we're monitoring throughout the whole career fair. So if something's not working right, or something's not working correctly for you on your computer, feel free to just chat in and we'll try and figure that out in as short as time as possible. Right. And lastly, we actually have our profile right here. So here you'll be able to view your profile just like on the home page. You'll be able to edit your super resume profile. If it's not done, it'll show various different percentages of where you are in completing your super resume profile. We do recommend that you complete the whole super resume, as it's very comprehensive and allows HR representatives to really get an understanding of who you are. Now, on the main entrance, there's also other tidbits that you can click and explore. So here you can actually also find the company directory. Here you'll be able to find every single company that's joining us today. So just going to let that load. And here you'll be able to see a company directory, and you can also visit the booth straight from here. And if you're looking for internships or full-time positions, you can also filter by that right here. So I hope everyone will really enjoy the web platform. It's a really big step forward for us this year, and we really hope you'll have fun with it. Now, that is now we're coming towards the end of our opening ceremony. I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone, the team at jobseekers and all the TSAs that have made today's event possible. And on screen, I've just put up the QR code for our platform guide. On here, you'll actually be able to find the live session schedule and other information that you can also find on the website. And for now, this concludes our opening ceremony for this morning, and we really hope you'll enjoy connecting with recruiters and attending live sessions throughout the event. This year, it's a really big step forward for us if you're joining us, if this is your second time or third time joining our career fair. So I'm sure you've seen it in the past. And coming up shortly, as I've mentioned, you'll be able to sit in this Zoom webinar. We actually have our fireside chat with Kun Pita coming up shortly. So stick around. Thank you. Hello, everyone again. Welcome back. And for those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the virtual career fair. Without further ado, I know a lot of you have been waiting. I'm excited to present to you our fireside chat for today with Kun Pitha Limjaroenrat, which will be moderated by Kun Anupong. Please enjoy.
Well, thank you very much for introducing and allowing me to be moderating this session. So we all know that transitioning from school to the real world can be a daunting experience. And in this time of uncertainties and possibilities, I believe perspective from those who came before us can be helpful. And in my mind, there is no one better qualified to offer guidance than our extremely special guest today. Like many of us, he was educated in various places around the world, from Thailand to New Zealand to the United States, where he received degrees in public and business administrations from Harvard and MIT. He has held various positions in public and private sectors, from parliament to multinational corporations. Already a next generation star with a rich track record and a background that resonates with many of ours, he has kindly agreed to be with us today. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Pitha Limjaroenrat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, what an honor it is to see you again.
Likewise.
And today we're accompanied by more than 600 registered students from a dozen countries around the world.
I see.
And I think it's amazing because a virtual career fair like this would have been inconceivable when you were a student.
Exactly.
So how does it feel to be addressing this young and diverse crowd online?
Technology rocks. Thank you to COVID. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this.
That's right. Yes. So I was given a list of questions spanning 3 topics. So let's tackle them in order.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Great.
Do we have time for question and answers with the following 600 audiences right now?
We do. So we're gonna
later on, right?
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna spend 30 minutes talking about these topics, and then we will have 20 minutes at the end for Q&A.
Cool. Let's rock and roll.
Thank you. Yeah. So the first topic is about priorities, because navigating early career, as we all know, is challenging, and it involves competing priorities like salary, prestige, growth opportunities, impact, and most of all, the pursuit of passion. But these factors often do not align, and compromises may have to be made. Reflecting on your personal journey and your mentorship of young talents, what are some of the key lessons in early career decisions that you can share? And how can you balance professional development with societal commitment so that you can fulfill both work and personal endeavors?
Okay, so the question breaks into 2 parts. First part, essentially, you're asking me how to choose your first job. Yeah. And second one is after you have chosen the job, and how do you balance between a professional and like work-life balance? That's essentially the question. The first part of the question, your priority should be the boss. Yeah. It doesn't really matter much if it's a big company or a small company, whether it's a company that fits your bachelor degree or not. It doesn't matter if it's international or domestic. It matters a lot who your first mentor is, who your first boss would be. If it's a small startup, a small SME firm, with a very responsive, capable boss, a very good mentor that will take you a long way, that will allow you to go through trial and error, without punishing you just because you tried something and you failed, who would take responsibility for failing and succeeding at the same time. People who allow you to go to the second part of your question, is to have a good work-life balance. Not necessarily that the boss will make you play tennis with him or her, just that he or she or they respect the boundary of work. It really is something of a boon if you could find someone who prepared to be both the boss, the leader, your team worker, as well as someone who understands, the boundary of not emailing on Sunday morning, for example. So I would be very careful in researching the people who you'll be working with. At the minimum, your direct boss that will, or direct leader that, or project leader that you'll be in close contact with, because that will actually determine, a good portion of your life in the remaining part of your career. Because if you could have a generational transition where if you've had a very toxic boss, and without any conscious, when you become the boss yourself, you could pass on that toxicity to your team as well. So it's quite important.
I think that's a very insightful answer, and I
Yeah.
was about to say exactly the same thing. Because one day we are going to go on and become bosses ourselves. So
Yeah.
when you think about a good boss, what are some of the key characteristics or markers that a good boss exhibits?
Well, first of all, boss is a loose term that I tried. I guess 600 of you understand what I'm trying to say. Is like the people who you report to. Doesn't not have to be in the definition of a boss. It could be, like I said, the definition of a leader. A boss is someone who gives you order and walks ahead of you, and then you follow. Leader is someone who you walk side to side and show you how it's done, without even giving orders. A good leader is someone that asks you question rather than giving you the deadline. Someone who allows you to shine, who sees your potential or your capability and allow that to materialize. Someone who is willing to give up the credit to you, and who is willing to take responsibility when something goes wrong. Who's someone who will protect you, that just because you didn't meet the deadline, just because he didn't do a good job in planning the project or the work that you are assigned to. A good leader is someone who checks on you regularly, on a regular basis, but he would ask you, when do you want to update me, rather than, okay, show me your work in a day and a half and things like that. So it's quite important, for someone who has 2 or 3 skills. 1 is analysis, 2 is communication, and 3 is project management. Someone who can hypothesize to get an answer. If you have a good project management skill, that means you should be able to, suppose the question is whether our company should be investing in Vietnam or not. You should have a hypothesis of why a company would invest in there. He would look at geopolitics of Vietnam. He would look at the GDP per capita. He would look at the micro level, which is the industry competitive analysis. He would look at barrier to entry. He would look at tax, just those things that he gives you a skeleton of your work. And it's your job to give him the meat and put that meat on top of the skeletons to make it into the full body. So without, going in circles or without reinventing the wheel all the time. I think that would be a good person to work for in a nutshell, or to work with in a nutshell.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like your answer. I think as I was listening to you, I was reflecting on the bosses or the leaders I've had, and I think you're absolutely right. I think those are a marker for a good leader. And another part of that question was about, certain jobs are more directly involved in things that might have social impact. Things like, if I were to go in and work at a renewable energy company versus working at an oil company and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, is this something that should factor in into an early career decision maker?
Yeah, if that's what your passion is. I think different people have different needs and different passion. Someone needs, a straight job salary with a lot of salary just to pay back their tuition or pay back their debt, so be it. But if you have something that is both profitable and passionate in renewable energy, in climate change, in digital disruption, in combating health problems, those are the things that I feel like it's a job of the future century that allows both for you to build up your passion as well as your bank account. So be it. For majority of the people that is working in a more neutral, traditional occupation, you can ask. I remember there's pro bono work for World Food Program during my time. If you're in accounting, if you're in finance, if you're in consulting, there's usually pro bono projects that's regarding national development, energy security, tourism development, healthcare reform. These things are both something that is good for the private company that you might be working for, as well as the inequality reduction in that industry as well, such as renewable energy will probably help with the PM 2.5. Healthcare reform will probably make someone wait less than a day while they're waiting for a doctor patient just to prescribe the regular medicine that they'll get all the time.
Right.
You can always ask and get a pro bono client, a pro bono project just for 3 months out of that 4 months, and remain in the job that you're aspiring to do after your graduation. It's not really it's possible. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
I think we are ready to move on to the second topic, which is about adaptation.
I see.
And actually, you have already talked a little bit about this when you were saying that there are 3 skills that you really think are important for the job of the future: analysis, communication, and project management.
Well,
So
actually, it's not for the future. It's now. The future is probably something else. Like how the ability to integrate artificial intelligence in everything that you do. But at the very minimum, at the very basic, in every energy, every industry, ranging from energy to healthcare and climate solution, in anything, you should be able to analyze the problem. You should be able to prioritize it, and you should be able to communicate it to someone, to your mother, to your little siblings, because that's you need to explain it to your marketing colleague or to your advertising PR firm, who might not share the same insight as you. And then once you go above just analysis and communication, then you should be able to manage projects. So it's not even a skill of the future, it's a skill of now. Go ahead.
Yes. Let's delve a little bit more into that. So job markets around the world are undergoing an unprecedented change. So for example, in just a few years, we have witnessed things like remote work, the Great Resignation, massive layoffs, and most importantly, generative AI. That is a huge opportunity, but also threatens to displace millions of jobs. And given the increasingly competitive and complex, ever-changing job market, what can our youth do to remain attractive to prospective employers?
I think high tech, high touch. Obviously, if those are the new tools of the future, as at least the century or at least a decade that is coming, you should be able to capitalize or utilize on emerging technologies all the time in whichever you do. I remember, because I started my career in finance, and when you do NPV analysis, then you probably need your calculator as well as your Microsoft 97 spreadsheet in order to come up with the value of a stock. But nowadays, just input the terminal value and input the coupon rate and things like that to calculate the weighted average cost of capital, and you come up with a stock of value pretty quickly. And you can just tweak a little things just to see if the sensitive factors would change the value of your stock or not. So it's totally a game changer with the regenerative artificial intelligence and machine learning. So definitely use that. I use that almost every day myself, and I'm learning bit by bit in order to become a better politician. We are, as a political party, following on what happened in Davos this year at the World Economic Forum, and we're thinking of doing AI Act, Parabah AI, as well as having a parliamentary committee on how AI governance needs to be put in place, within Thailand, within ASEAN as well, just to make sure that we maximize the benefit of AI as well as minimize the risk of AI as well. But the second part of the question that I first answer you is also high touch, the ability to work in teams, the ability to do things that AI might not be able to do, the ability to have empathy at work, resilience, grit, coming up with creativity, well, arguably now AI can do a lot of creative stuff. If you're in architecture, if you're in photography and you ask AI to come up with designs, they're incredible. I follow them up all the time. But anyways, you have to even become more human, and find the human touch in a lot of the work that you do. If you are in relationship management, for example, ranging from private wealth to advertising, I don't think that someone who will just press or show their work of artificial intelligence will impress the client much, but it's the client development and the relationship management that is important, as well as things like international cooperation and things like that. It's still heart to heart. It's still eyes to eyes, and not everything is going to be AI. But if you're not using AI in your work, then you'll be missing out, even if you have the high touch skill. Yeah, that would be my answer.
Thank you. The other side of that coin is, as we have said before, these students are going to go on and become leaders in the future. So when they become leaders, how can they prepare the next generation for success and to be able to contribute to our economy, to our communities in the face of this rapid global transformation? Like what are some of the key policies that you think might be helpful on a macro level?
I think in one short answer is the ability to think on your feet. Because I feel like when I started off working, and that was 20 good years ago, I felt like the skill that I didn't have to use much compared to what I have to use a lot now is the ability to think on my feet critically. It's a volatile, it's a fragile world with a lot of unprecedented events, all the time. And experience is not going to help you much. Experience, sometimes you have good experience and bad experience. And I would argue that if you use the old experience to manage the new upcoming challenges, you will fail. So it's that ability to even stop your conscience, stop your past experience to deal with the new challenging events, and being able to break them down into mutually exclusive but collectively exhaustive bits, and prioritize them. Okay, this is the thing that I'm going to attack first, then the flow would be to the next and to the next and to the next, rather than seeing complex problems and freeze like a deer. I think that's something that you should test and prepare this generation in the workers. What happens if there's drought and flood and earthquake and all these unprecedented things that will keep coming up more than my generation. That's that definitely, for sure. It's a much more volatile world.
Totally agreed. As if you knew what I was going to ask next, because when you were talking about old experience and new experience, that is the perfect segue into the final topic, which is about empowerment.
Okay.
And it's because of the observation that young professionals today are
Mhm.
increasingly becoming leaders in their organizations,
I
driving
see.
success with their innovativeness and
Yeah.
adaptability. Yet we have observed that this shift can create intergenerational tension within
I
the
see.
workplace as well. So
Yeah.
how can, I guess there are two sub-questions. So how can incumbent leaders provide the necessary space for the young to excel? And conversely, how can young professionals deliver an impact while asserting their leadership so that we can unlock the full, collaborative potential by blending fresh ideas with established norms and expertise?
I think the best way to answer this question is to focusing on the audience. Their the younger generation of how they would be able to work with someone more senior or someone from a different generation. I think it's a pyramid to me. If you would visualize it together with me through Zoom, I think that at the very bottom of the pyramid is like those minimum skills, that would allow you on the same table as them. Like they would probably think, I'm more experienced than you. I've been around and I know the industry much more. Who are you to, deserve a seat on the executive meeting, on the executive table and speak and things like that, right? So I think if you have ability to come up with facts, to use technology and come up with information and data, or there's approximately 500 rice millers in Vietnam, and there's approximately 2 million battery worth of lithium in Bolivia that is being discovered for our electric vehicle plant. Come up with ability to come up with facts. Therefore, you could analyze. Just not just giving them the fact that you could come up from Google or from AI and tell your boss that. It's just like, so what? But then have that analytical skills to be able to transform what the fact mean for the table, or mean for the boss, or mean for the company, right? An ability to communicate it very quickly. Practice elevator speech. Suppose you are on 31st floor of Barrage Tower next to M Quartier in Sukhumvit. So from first floor to 31st floor, that's the amount of time you have to tell your boss what you're up to, or what your idea is. It's an opportunity that he cannot escape, or he or she cannot escape, or they cannot escape. And you have to communicate something to them within very short amount of time. As what's called elevator speech, elevator pitch. Even if you are a startup, you are trying to pitch an idea to angel investor, and you should be able to do that. That's at the very minimum at the pyramid, like I emphasized a couple of times. A lot of people could analyze, but they could never communicate what they have in their head. A lot of people can talk a lot, but there's no substance in what they talk. If you have both, or if you have this and you are practicing this, if you have this, you are practicing this, I think, that will make you deserve a seat at the C-level table, with someone who has 20, 30, 40 years more than experience than you, because you provide value to them. You provide something that they lack. And then the medium, the middle part of that pyramid is expectation management. Ask questions, as well as communicate your restrictions, if you have any, or your preference, in the right time. This is specifically a lot of specific, in Thai or in Asian context. In Western context or any other developed country context might be much easier than this. But if it's a Thai context, you have to be able to ask questions and manage expectations with the boss. Suppose they come to you and they give you 3 assignments. You should be able to have a way to ask them back the priorities, like which one should I focus first. And I feel like if this is the work, my hypothesis and how I'm going to tackle this is, 1, I'm going to do this, and then 2nd, I'm going to do this, and 3rd, I'm going to do this. Do you approve, or do you have any comments? So if that's the case, yeah, and then maybe in 2 days, can I come back and touch base with you for about 30 minutes at about 4 p.m. so that you don't wait for the deadline to come and to have a totally discrepancy in the expectations between someone who you're working with and yourself.
Yeah.
It could be, if a good boss, sometimes I gotta ask, are you a morning person or are you an evening person? It's a good portion of how efficient you work. Someone likes to work like 6 a.m. in the morning but get off at 4. Someone focus better at the nighttime. And if you have a way to build a relationship with your team or someone who you're working with and then manage expectations right away, this is the kind of thing that we can talk about. If this is the first time you work with them, but if you work with them for a long time, sometimes I have like almost like a norm of, I have to be with my daughter at the nighttime. I have to try to pick her up. She's my priority. So even if you have a clash between work schedule and my daughter's schedule, I take priority in my daughter and I have no regrets for it. So if you could communicate these kind of things, it takes bravery and guts and also a lot of nerve to talk to someone who's above you. But if he or she listens to you, that's a good sign that you have a good boss, and that's a good skill to have, expectation management skill, also to someone who's below you as well. And the top one in the pyramid is upward management. There's downward management and upward management. If maybe 10 years after you work, you probably need that upward management and downward management, because you're in the middle of, you're almost in the executive level, but you're still at the manager level, but you're not at the associate or analyst level anymore. But if you start off as analyst or associate or like beginning level, you should be able to do upward management. And I said that it's the top of the pyramid because if you have mastered the basic at the foundation and at the middle level, then they should be very impressed with you already, and they should listen to you, and they should be asking you to join every meetings because you provide value in those meetings, apart from the experience and the old ways of doing things. But upward management means that you mingle with them. It's not just like in during work or after work or lunch at work that you sit with your peers all the time. You should diversify and be diverse. Sit with sit with the cleaner in your office. Sit with the accountants that you might talk with. Sit with HR. Also sit with your boss. If the situation permits, ask them nicely if it's possible for you to share the seat together at the restaurant or things like that, and figure out what they are into or what their problem is, what keeps them awake at night, what brings the bell in their heart, what's their family like, and try to manage them upward, and try, instead of trying to avoid them. So instead of gossip at the back with here he comes, and then you walk away from him, but try to put his position at the kind of stress level that he or she has, or they have, into your own shoes, and think about how you would be able to elevate from their body, and try to see what they like and join them. Sometimes it's not like sucking up or lobbying for something, but it's just building relationships with all walks of life in your office, and that would make your life much easier. I think that would be the pyramid of how you can walk across generation gaps, and people in my generation have my task to do as well, but then it takes two to tango. If the younger generation understands these kind of strength that they have, and they have the ability to use the strength to close the potential gaps between us, and then I also allow them to be part of my career journey. I think that would make it a win-win situation for both someone at the top level, at the middle level, and at the foundation level as well.
Thank you very much. That's an extremely practical advice, and I definitely am still learning it the hard way. And as I reflect on the pyramid that you were talking about, I think I'm barely at the foundation of that pyramid. So there is a long way for me to learn.
I know you're all right. I've worked with you before. You're good. You're good.
Oh, thank you. So we have been getting a lot of questions in our chat box, which is actually not visible to you. But so let me dive into some of those questions. The first one is, so there are a couple regarding startups. So I guess, I guess the crux of it is that startups are gaining popularity in Thailand. But how can society further promote the growth of these startups, addressing the existing limitations, whether it be regarding, financing or the public infrastructure or education or nurturing young entrepreneurs? What do you think can kind of unlock that potential for entrepreneurs in Thailand?
Oh, I think two sides of the coin. First, the startups themselves would have to do the same business development process as any startups in the world. But they should have the ambition beyond Thailand always in whatever they do. In whichever pain point that they are trying to solve, fintech, martech, health tech, a lot of travel tech, a lot of things that they're trying to do. The client base should be beyond Thailand always. I mean, if they focus only in Thailand, that simply means 80% of their business generating model would be based in Bangkok because of how our economic structure and our societal structure is designed. Thailand is still Bangkok. Bangkok is still Thailand, arguably, whether you look at GDP or national budget or public service distribution. So remember when successful startup in ASEAN comes into Thailand, they're also in Vietnam, they're also in Indonesia, they're also in Malaysia on the majority. Like, it's very hard for some startup to materialize only in Thailand alone. That's on the startup side. I feel like the amount of financing is not of shortage. There's a lot of venture capital that is spin off from banks and mobile companies and telecom and energy and Siam Cement Group. All these, they also have their venture capital with a majority of liquidity that is never used because there's not good enough ideas for them to give them the money. But the problem with all these things that I have found on the investor side is that they use the valuation of a bank. It's like they use the valuation of a bank when they are determining whether they will give out a loan to a company or not, rather than using the same risk profile of a startup. It could fail. It could, if it goes beyond that kind of risk barrier, they'll become bigger than the bank themselves. I remember when Kasikorn Bank was acquiring or putting investment in Grab, and now Grab valuation is probably same or higher than Kasikorn Bank themselves. But a lot of ideas would fail. So the kind of risk profile, the risk and return profile, will have to be like a startup rather than a traditional business. That's the two sides of the coin. And the entire coin itself is the regulation and the economic structure of Thailand will also need to change. Arguably, someone will show up in this Zoom and say that we have unicorns and we have good startup ecosystem. What are you talking about? We have fintech that is a unicorn and things like that. But there are barrier to entry for startups because like fintech permit that you have to ask from Bank of Thailand. I remember being the person in charge of getting a license for a startup in order for them to switch from ride hailing to a fintech company.
Mhm.
And you will really have to get in line behind the banks, because all the banks would have their mobile digital banking of their own. All the banks would have it first,
That's right.
and then you would have the retail companies would have their own mobile payment system, and then that's when a startup who's trying to do something would have to go through. First, you have to wait in line and get the permit from the Bank of Thailand, as well as then you have to go through like that sandbox process and things like that. But because you have the traditional incumbent industries filling up the position in the market themselves, and that's why it's hard for the ecosystem to begin with, because the demand or the pain point is being solved by the banks themselves or by the retail companies themselves and things like that. They all develop their own portals that doesn't allow various startup companies to do. But don't give up hope. I think there's still a lot of pain points that that the startups will be able to do, especially in healthcare and travel. I think these two things are something that is lacking very much.
Yeah, so I think that's a very insightful answer. So it's not just about the talent, but it's also about educating the investors. It's about changing the regulation in order to allow and permit startups to thrive and not be suppressed by the current.
So the government has this fund that nobody talks about. It's called the Competitiveness Fund. It's about 10 billion baht. Yeah.
Wow.
10 billion baht available that not a lot of people use and not people know about. So I think it's with Kaswang, the digital economy ministry or someone. It's like there's this committee that would go through whether they should provide the funds by the government or not. And we were, as I was trying to form a government and become the prime minister, I kept my eyes on this piece and try to make it less restricted, so that people with ideas and with regional ambition could access the fund, and without strings attached for them to try it out, because they couldn't go to banks or they couldn't go to venture capital to get the funds. And I felt like this competitiveness would start off almost like Temasek of Singapore. It doesn't have to be like at the vehicle, but we have this funds that is 10 billion baht that nobody knows about, nobody uses it to really work it out.
It's amazing. Thank you. So the next question is about management of relationships. So the person who asked said that you have studied abroad. How do you manage the relationships with the people that you met during that time? And I assume that means professors, friends, co-workers, etc.
Well, nothing fancy. Just on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, social media allows me to keep up to speed with what they're up to. And during Christmas or maybe during Songkran, if someone travels, if Christmas they come to us, if Songkran I go to them and keep in touch and meet up. Like I would go through my class WhatsApp and say I'll be in Tokyo this New Year. Anybody around? And if they're around, then I just meet up with them and try to keep in touch. And I don't hesitate to ask if I need some help, and it will probably be of reciprocity that they will also ask me for help if something is needed, as long as it's not to my professional capacity. If it's because I'm a member of parliament and I would give them a favor, then I say I'll pay you back later, or I'll help you later when I exit my professional career as a politician. But as a professional politician, I cannot give you favors of this ahead of someone that will give you unlevel playing field. So I say it out loud, and I explicitly tell them that if it's personal, and it does not give you any advantage over other people, then I can definitely help you. But if you need something like a favor from me because you helped me with my problem sets in the past, then wait until I exit politics, and then I'll return the favor.
Sounds good. Thank you. The next question is about interviewing tips. So over the course of your career, you have interviewed probably hundreds of talented individuals.
Yeah.
What filters do you have in identifying promising individuals?
Well, to be completely honest with you and frank with you, in politics, we have a series of interview, but I give them assignments. I put them to work, like as an intern or as a volunteer, to really prove whether their written assignment or their interviews are exactly the same. Someone who says during the interview that they really know the district well, they've been living in Klong Toi for a very long time, and they know exactly what the problem is and things like that. But once they're on the field, grassroots walk with me, and then they turn on the wrong side and nobody say hello to them, then I could tell right away that they're lying during the interview. So that's how you can tell whether someone is doing as promised, during the interview or not. But if you don't have that kind of luxury like me to test someone out, whether their commitment is there, whether their honesty is there, and you only have a couple of interviews with them in the private sector, and then you should ask them how many tennis balls can fit into a Boeing, or how many PlayStations are there in Thailand, how many dogs are there in Lumpini Park, and see their character. You could ask them behavioral questions as well, like how would your best friend describe you, or if I call your boss, your former boss, up right now, then what would they say, and things like that. And that's kind of harassing them a bit or threatening them a bit. I don't really like that one. But you need to be nervous during the interview, because you'll be nervous during work. And we're not trying to give you a hard time, but you have the ability to think on your feet and to be critically separate problems out into manageable chunks. So ask them. I always ask them brain teaser question just to see the composure, how they manage during crisis, how they manage during anxiety, and whether they could think on their feet, and whether they could prioritize, and whether they have the ability to ask back. So what kind of Boeing are you talking about? I know what Boeing is, but it's pretty unusual for someone to know the dimension of a Boeing. So is that okay if I Google them up? Because I think I'll be able to Google during work to find out answers. And if there's a tool like this and we don't use it, it's a shame, So it's those people. I don't need the right answer of exactly how many balls, but I just want to know that if they could structure it, that first step you have to find the dimension of the Boeing. And second step is you have to find the dimension of the tennis ball, and the third step is you have to divide them. And if they could have the skeleton of the thinking, and then if they don't know the dimension of Boeing, they don't even know whether it's Boeing 747 or whichever one that I had in mind, and they clarify it. They ask me politeness with politeness back for me to clarify my question to them. They ask me to use technology to help them work better. And if they do a quick calculation just to see if they have the mathematical skills in you, how you do a back of the envelope calculation, just because you want to crack an answer of something. And if the answer is wrong, then you still pass, because we work in teams, and you will make some mistakes, but someone will help correct you. And if the data is not correct, you can always get the data and slide it back and replace it on that structured thinking that you already have. And it might change the outcome, but it'll be a quick one, rather than someone who breaks down and cry. It happened. Someone who would, when you get the kind of question and cry right away, and I don't blame them at all. It's part of life. It's part of career. Sometimes you cry in your job. it's the soul destroying careers out there that is around that we must do in order for us to make a living. I understand that, but yeah, it's something that it's not to put pressure on you just for the sake of it, because it's something that is part of life. It's part of job. And the sooner you have the ability to manage those anxiety and come to your senses, the better for you in the future, whether you work for me or you don't work for me, in the future. So I think that's a kind of a kind of short test that can be done.
Sounds great. Thank you. So I think let's do one last question from the floor, which is, do you have any advice for young professionals who want to get into policy making in Thailand or politics in general?
I think it's generally the advices that I have given today applies to be good at anything that you do in whichever industry, including politics as well. There's really a shortage of someone who can do politics the new way, with data, with analysis, with comprehensive understanding of the issue, of the root cause, and structure it, whether it's a legal problem, the legal barrier for us to tackle PM 2.5 is that the budget that is not enough in the northern part of Thailand, that there's not enough for firefighters to fight the fire. Is that at the international level, that there's discrepancy between laws in Thailand and Myanmar and Cambodia and many other parts of the country, that transboundary haze could get in? Is it the power structure of the people, someone who's responsible to be someone who's responsible for environment, that cannot give orders to transportation, construction, agriculture, the root cause of air pollution? They cannot, give them commands. If you're at the general level, you cannot tell the Minister of Agriculture to, it's time for you to tell the farmers to stop burning things because the level is too high. The general cannot tell the education minister to stop schools because it's at the hazardous level already. So that's the kind of power structure. So, I separate out legal, financial, international, and then bureaucracy, bureaucratic, like 4 or 5 manageable chunks of how you would tackle the problem. It's still the same thing that is very much over shortage. I mean, if you follow the parliament session all the time, you'll see a lot of nonsense being analyzed and being said all the time, just because you can have, the critical thinking just to say that this guy is all about nonsense. He's not talking anything, or he or they are not, making any sense at all. That's good enough for you to become a politician, and don't be like them when you enter politics.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. So I guess as we bring this session to a close, would you like to leave a few words of wisdom for the audience?
Good luck. Try your best and have tolerance for truth. If it doesn't work out the first time, stay for a year, and and find a good boss. And if it doesn't work out, then you have enough tolerance for the next one already.
Great. So let me close the session. But before doing so, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the organizers and the audience. Mr. Pita, we've been watching your ascent over the past many years, and at least to me, it really reminds me of a speech given by President Joe Biden at Harvard in 2017 when I was a student there. He was encouraging graduates to pursue life paths that would allow them to engage with and to improve their communities and the people around them. He said that what happens in our communities will affect us, will affect our families, and it could be inequality, job loss, discrimination, or climate change. And he said that there is nowhere for us to hide, or no wall high enough that could insulate us from the failure of our failure to fix a broken system. And we feel that your life journey vividly illustrates the impact of President Biden's words. Students of this generation will face challenges perhaps more formidable than any other time in recent history. And the example that you've set is a poignant reminder that picking a job is not just about us, but it's also about our family, it's about our co-workers, stakeholders, communities, and everything around us. Thank you for providing a blueprint for using our privileged education to make a positive change to society and the economy.
Sure, the pleasure is mine. Let's start early and break the wall.
Great. So everyone, please join me in giving Mr. Pita a huge round of virtual, albeit silent applause. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. You guys are on mute, by the way. Thank you so much. All righty. So long. I'll see you around.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.